Hello everyone. Welcome to the Sagittarius season workshop. This is a great season for me personally because this is my birthday season. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm really excited to be showing you and letting you know kind of some of what's coming up this month. So as always, this workshop is going to begin with talking about a bunch of the planetary transits, the relevant transits that are happening in this season, and then we'll finish up with a single card collective tarot reading just to kind of give a little bit of overarching energy and some insight to guide kind of the season. So we're just going to jump right in. Just so you know, I did get a flu shot yesterday and I'm finding my brain's really spacey. So if I really dumb out and struggle to get some words going on, that's just what's happening. So bear with me as we walk through this. And of course, if my eyes are kind of shooting off to the side here, my notes are on the side, so I'm not trying to not look at you all. So yeah, we're just going to jump right in and we're going to talk about Sagittarius energy. So Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. So it's this fire sign coming right out of Scorpio season, which is this very heavy, deep, fixed water sign. Sagittarius tends to bring this really kind of brightening and lively feeling, getting this injection of fire energy. And fire energy is kind of getting us into our intuitive and inspiration state where we kind of have these flashes of energy or new kind of intuitive thoughts. So fire energy can feel in some ways kind of similar to air energy. They are both masculine energies. So when you think of air as new ideas, it's very mental. Sometimes we can kind of mistake intuition and this kind of the inspiration of willpower to be the same thing, where we think, oh, I have a new idea, that's an air quality. But when we have just a sense or a push from the gut or something that's kind of pre-mental, but it can kind of feel like the same thing once we start thinking about it. Fire energy has that inspiration, that's that first spark before you actually even get to thinking about it and feeling about it and having those kinds of other air qualities to it. So this season, that kind of fire underlining things can push in many different directions, but it is a fire sign. So Sagittarius also, as of one of the fire signs, has this really big explosive fire to it. So whereas Aries season is a new idea, new inspiration, an impulse, a spark, that fire is kind of a quick burn and can go out pretty quickly if you don't, and kind of move on to new things. Sagittarius is this way bigger sense of wanting to move. It's not just move to something new, but it's mutable. So it's wanting to just move, be in motion. Even if you're happy where you are, sometimes Sagittarius season has this feeling of, okay, what's the new thing? Let's have some change. Let's experience something different, but it's coming from this kind of more guttural, intuitive space. So Sagittarius is a sign that is also associated with an adventurer or pioneer, and it has the sense of wanderlust, which is the kind of what I was just explaining, this feeling of I just want to go somewhere else. I have this fire burning under me that isn't just going to be satisfied by a new kind of idea or a new thing. It makes me want to push my way outward into the world and expand. Sagittarius as a sign is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and Jupiter is this planet of expansion. It's so big, it's kind of also this feeling of good luck. If you move into the space of whatever Jupiter brings, good things are going to happen and things are going to get moving. So Sagittarius has this big expansive fire feeling, this Jupiter push out into the far reaches. And once we hit Sagittarius energy, we can often kind of get this wanderlust or wanting to go and see what's out there, wanting to experience things in faraway places. Sagittarius also has this quality of higher learning and wanting to think really deeply and expansively about concepts that are potentially sometimes a bit more esoteric or philosophical. Sagittarius is really interested in philosophy and the big why questions, and thinking not just how do we do things or what's going on here, but why are we here, and looking, kind of peeling back, what's the meta narrative? Let's expand a concept. If you're fixating on an idea, you want to say, okay, well, what does this look like in the context of everything? All of these kinds of philosophical things, this kind of lights up, that kind of starts to get a fire going for us in Sagittarius season. Another core aspect of Sagittarius is the truth. Part of that kind of questing and wondering about why, and that expansive field is really Sagittarius's unending search for truth, wanting higher knowledge, really trying to experience the different modalities of truth as well. Is there one truth that unites us all? Is truth a little bit more multifaceted than that? Sagittarius really wants to know this, which also means in Sagittarius season, sometimes the truth can be displayed a little bluntly, or a very not trustful of anything that looks like deception or lying. Sagittarius is not interested in lies, is really looking for the truth, and may deliver it really bluntly. So this particular season, you may find either for yourself or for other people that people are just being a little bit more honest, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes the diplomacy that we may get in other seasons or other signs, or the being really careful of people's emotional responses, just isn't as important for Sagittarius. So there may kind of feel like a bit of those oh wow, that truth hurts a little bit. So that is something that can come up for Sagittarius season. So those are some general Sagittarius themes. The sun enters Sagittarius November the 22nd, and just a reminder, this is all Pacific time for me here on the Pacific Northwest in Canada, so the dates might be slightly different depending on where you are in the globe. So Sagittarius season starting November 22nd. As it starts, we'll already have Mercury and Venus are already in Sagittarius, so we've already got a little bit of this fire energy coming in. So as when the sun moves into the sign, the sun as this big light energy of the solar system, it's shining more of an attention on these Sagittarius themes. So this is especially a time where if we have the light of the sun coming in through an era of already seeking truth, a lot of things might kind of come up from the woodworks. We just had Scorpio season that was all kind of dredging up kind of a lot of things that may have been repressed, and all of a sudden the beaming fire sun of Sagittarius season comes on and wants to look at everything that just came up. So there's this element of let's not hide anymore, let's really see what this means in a greater context, let's not be shy about the truth, and let's really look at what's been coming up. So there's a lot of a warming and bright quality to it, but if you're still kind of in this mode of wanting to hide, this might be kind of a rough time for you because the light's on and we're going to find these things out now. So that's the sun moving into Sagittarius season. The next major transit we have is Jupiter is going direct in the sign of Pisces. So Jupiter has been retrograding for a little while now, and Jupiter again is this big planet of expansion. So one of the things when Jupiter is moving through a sign, we have a lot of those issues, and those energies might feel more grandiose, might feel a little bit larger than normal, but Jupiter also has this sense of blessing, has this sense of it's not necessarily super rough going. So these issues may feel expansive and bigger, and that can be oh, can I handle this? But it's big, kind of the image that just came up is a gigantic stuffed plushie. You're oh, it is a lot to handle. It's pretty large, but actually, if I think about it, it's kind of softer. This might actually be okay. So Jupiter has been had just retrograded from Aries back into Pisces, and now he's going to go direct motion November 23rd. So right after we start Sagittarius season, Jupiter is going to feel like it's stopping and then turn around and go back direct. So Jupiter in Pisces. Pisces is the sign of the dreamer and illusions, and how we can take that which is not real and manifested yet, so the realm of ideas, imagination, dreams, and possibility, and then we can start to eventually kind of try to bring that down into the reality of how we manifest things, and then actually create it into something tangible. But the Pisces stages of the dreamer is just sort of seeing past the rigid kind of obvious manifested reality into what is possible. So when Jupiter is in Pisces, there's this big sense of dreaming big, of really getting to look at our dreams and maybe go bigger. But since it's been, when it was in retrograde, we had a little bit more of that feeling of illusion. Pisces is this kind of dissolving, foggy feeling. And so with Pisces having been, with Jupiter having been in retrograde in Pisces, now that it's going direct, it's kind of oh, the fog gets to clear on our dreams. Suddenly we have a stronger vision again. Doesn't mean it's manifested. That's not where we're at yet. But if we've been kind of struggling, what is it that I want? Or I've had these dreams, or I'm just really confused, it's going to have that feeling of the confusion clearing. So that's kind of the main sense that we're going to get with Jupiter going direct is it's not still in the dream state, but at least it feels a little bit more tangible and it's a little bit less confusing. So that's Jupiter going direct. Next, we have what's going to actually really increase that energy I just spoke about, which is Neptune going direct. And Neptune is also in Pisces. Neptune's home sign is Pisces. Neptune is this, is like the god or the lord of the ocean, and Pisces is this massive ocean. So Neptune has been in his home sign already, retrograding, and Neptune is also this sort of sense of this planet of illusion and dissolving, and so where Neptune goes, we kind of have our vision fogged, and so having our vision fogged already in Pisces is like, oh my God, how do I really feel my dream? So with Jupiter and Neptune having just been retrograde in Pisces and now going direct, we have this really, really big extra clearing of our vision and our extra being able to sense what our dreams are a little bit. And that doesn't mean that all of our illusions are gone. I think like this is still Pisces energy. These are dreams. These can feel like phantasms, but this is just a little bit less blocked, if that makes sense. So if you in particular have a really strong dream life, like when you sleep and you have particularly vivid dreams, or you have visions, or you get a lot of inspiration kind of through that kind of other realm of dream, you might feel that this is going to have this really big clearing effect, where if your dreams have been really kind of confusing, then you're going to get a little bit more lightness, a little bit more open feeling, and be able to kind of work through that that avenue of how you receive in dreams. So that's going to be December 3rd, Neptune going direct in Pisces. The next one that we have is December 6th, just a few days later. Mercury is moving into Capricorn. So Mercury has been in Sagittarius. We've been thinking about these Sagittarius themes, this like bright kind of expansive fire energy, kind of wanting to think about new ideas, higher truth, and Mercury is this planet of thought and communication as well. So we've been communicating truths more. It's been easier for us to speak truth instead of hiding it. Sometimes it's been mandatory, which comes with that kind of blunt Sagittarius truth giving. But now we're moving into Capricorn. So we're moving into an earth sign, very stable, but Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. So earth is very practical, wanting to get things done, and cardinal is initiating new tasks and initiating new projects. So Capricorn is all about starting new goals and working towards that which you want to create. Capricorn is kind of seen sometimes as the workaholic because they're very much devoted to the goal and going to work very, very hard to get there. So Mercury being this planet of thought is we're going to be thinking about our goals. We're going to be thinking about what it is we want to manifest. And this is a really great just in time to have this clearing of those planets in Pisces, where our vision and what we're trying to dream to bring into reality is going to clear a little bit. Mercury is then going to say, okay, well, we have these dreams and visions. Now I'm going to think about how I can start my new actions in order to manifest it. So the Pisces Capricorn thing is finding the dream, and Capricorn is then starting the necessary steps to get that dream into reality. So it's a really, really nice combo. Again, this is Mercury, so it's still more the thinking and communicating. So this would be a really great time to be networking or communicating with people that maybe you're going to help you with your goals. There might also be a fair amount of, because Capricorn is associated with work and the workplace, there might suddenly need to be a little bit more communication in your work life if you're finding that, especially with the Sagittarius injection of truth, if there's things that you're not really satisfied with or comfortable with in the workplace, things that are kind of getting in the way from your goals, then you might be really needing to communicate that a little bit, kind of say, if there's been things that everybody's like, well, we all think about it, we all know it, but nobody talks about it. This is a great time to say, well, we're gonna start talking about it now, because we don't have time for this deception. We don't have time for getting weaving around the truth, because I'm in Capricorn now and I have things I need to get done. So that's what we're all about, the goal, and when we're not gonna be kind of beating around the bush anymore with those kinds of things. So that is December the 6th, Mercury moving into Capricorn. Then the next transit we have is December the 9th. Venus is going to be following Mercury quite closely and then moving into Capricorn. So again, the same Capricorn energy applies, which is, hard work, initiating new tasks in order to achieve your goals. There is another aspect of Capricorn, though, which is integrity and values that have to do with taking care of and providing for the whole community. So, Capricorn, even though Capricorn is usually associated with the father figure, the way Cancer is seen with the mother, Capricorn is an earth sign, and so it's a feminine sign. And so Capricorn is actually associated with the grandmother, the female elder. So, the one who kind of it has their eye on the community, has their eyes on the needs of the culture and society at large, and is going to work hard to create value and wealth for everybody to share in. So you think of the grandmother always kind of cooking and feeding everybody, whether they're her grandkids, whether they're not even her relatives at all. She sees them as a part of her community, and she's going to take care of them. So Venus, moving into Capricorn, Venus is our values, and Venus is our relationships. So how we put energy into our close relationships, whether that's romantic relationships, whether that's family or not, it's our values. It also has an aspect of money. Money and value go together. So Venus is also looking at our financial resources too. So moving into Capricorn, Venus kind of like doesn't necessarily feel the most at home in Capricorn. Venus is this kind of voluptuous goddess of fertility and love, and Capricorn we kind of see as very kind of serious, a bit more strict. It's not about having fun right now, it's about working hard today to get to our goals. So Venus is just getting serious now. So she's had her fun in Sagittarius, she's kind of expanded, she's maybe had some adventures, and now she realizes, okay, well, we need to think the long game. Capricorn is thinking about multiple generations. So Venus doesn't have to get rid of her values of joy and fun and fertility and love, but she sees that those things only can happen in the context of safety and resources for the whole community. Otherwise, it's very short-lived. So Venus is now getting serious about what needs to be done in order to have this be this relationship or sort of our relationship to finances. How is this going to be sustainable in the long run? So you may find that when Venus moves into Capricorn, Sagittarius can have a very kind of flirty element to it. So Venus in Sagittarius, you may have felt kind of more kind of open, expansive, kind of flirtatious. And then when Venus moves into Capricorn, you might suddenly be really interested in having more serious conversations about integrity, stability, long-term planning. And so this is a great time in your relationships, again, whether it's romantic, whether it's family or friends, or even your relationship to your work life. Having more serious conversations. Is this sustainable? Do I feel like I'm in integrity with my goals and my values? And it's kind of like you can think about this as like strategic planning, and which is really great in the season right before the calendar New Year starts. Everybody's kind of in that brain of kind of planning for the new cycle, and so Venus in Capricorn is really like, okay, yeah, let's make some plans. This is a great time to be writing down goals for your relationships, writing down goals for your money, and get really, really practical with that. So Venus can still have fun in Capricorn, but she's interested in it being sustainable and something that everybody wins with. So that is December 9th. Venus is moving into Capricorn. And then the last major transit that we're going to talk about is Jupiter again. So Jupiter is entering into Aries again on December 20th. So we had been in Aries for a while, retrograded backwards, just crossed into Pisces, then going direct in Pisces, and then we're crossing back over the line into Aries. So what this is kind of like is the tiny little bit of time Jupiter has in Pisces is like really getting connected again to the dream, to the vision, to the idea of what is possible in the grandiose way. When you're dreaming, you don't have to put limitations based in reality quite yet. You can just look at the whole idea. If anything was magical and could happen, what would I want? And then we cross the line back into Aries. And Aries is this new cycle. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So crossing back from Pisces into Aries is, okay, let's start again. Let's initiate a whole new cycle, a whole new kind of spark of life. Aries is this cardinal fire sign, cardinal initiating. Fire is this intuition. So we're going to start to initiate with this vibrant new life everything that we just saw in our dream state in Pisces. So that, of course, it can feel suddenly a little limiting at first, or if you had this whole massive possibility in the dream scope, you can't just make it happen all in one day. So Aries is really bringing it back in, where we want to stay connected to the vision without nothing kills the Aries spark more than like feeling like you're supposed to have it all done right away. Aries isn't the energy of follow through. Aries is the energy of joyous, spontaneous initiation. So if you have this, if you're holding on too much to the vision of I need to get it all done, which you might, because we have some planets in Capricorn. So Capricorn is certainly concerned with wanting to get things done, but also in the long-term game. So make sure that you don't feel like, oh, but I have to work so hard right away at this stage. Aries is okay just to get excited about. I'm noticing that the sun is kind of coming right on the sun. Hold on, I'm going to pull the blinds down so I don't get blinded here. Sun's coming right around, right exactly where I need the camera to be. Okay, did that work? I hope that worked. Okay, a little less glowy there. Perfect. Okay, what was I saying? Jupiter and Aries. Yes, so Aries is this excited new initiation phase, and Jupiter is this expansive energy. So we're going to get another injection of, it's like a big spark. If Aries is like, oh, a little spark to start things new, Jupiter's got this really big energy of like, make it bigger, a whole new idea. Like, you want a new idea? Just why don't you go even bigger? If you had this dream and you were just going to start something new with it, Jupiter's really like, yeah, go. Try it on hard mode. Don't just try it on easy mode. Or, yeah, you're going to do something new. Well, inviting a few people over. Why don't invite like way more people? Let's just start this with like really big gusto here. The one element to be mindful of is Aries is the sign of, like, Aries is the god of the underworld and kind of this war energy, and so we can get a lot more combative in Aries energy, which is excellent if what we are fighting against is something problematic and in defense of something that we value, but we can also just have like a blow off steam, hot flash energy of that spark going off. We get really mad really quickly and then it kind of fizzles out, but what did we do when we had that flash of anger? And with Jupiter being expansive, that might flash hotter and bigger. So we might have a very like suddenly a short fuse that feels like it's attached to a powder keg. So be mindful of that. Again, that's December 20th, right before solstice. Right before winter solstice if you're in the northern hemisphere, and summer solstice if you're in the south. So just be a little bit aware. It doesn't mean you don't want to like compress and hold in if you've got any sort of anger or quick things flashing up, but just trying to make sure that you find a healthy sort of outlet for that, and so that you don't suddenly find that you've lit all these fires that you have to put out just because you got really excited. So that's Jupiter going back into Aries December 20th, and that is the major transits that I'm going to talk about for this season, just so that you have the moon dates as well. We just had a bunch of eclipses in Scorpio season, and so the next new moon that we'll have in Sagittarius season is right at the beginning, November 23rd, new moon in Sagittarius, and then 2 weeks later we have the full moon in Gemini, December 7th. So those are your moon dates, and that's that for the astrology. So we're just going to now pull a single card for the rest of the reading. So I'm just gonna shuffle and shuffle. There, we'll grab that one. Okay, so the card that we have for the rest of the season for everybody is the Page of Wands. So this is the way the page looks the right way up. We have this young man, he's fairly well dressed, nice hat. He's got this staff here, this wand, and he has this big kind of bright yellow aura all the way around him. This kind of red swirly thing up here. Page of Wands right there. So I'm going to go to the book here. Page of Wands. I'm also going to grab a little drink of water here as we do that. As an aside, I'm in a different room right now because my house has no heat. It's freezing cold and we have no heat right now because we're switching over heat systems. So I'm in a different room right now, and there's my broomstick right above me. I'm in my bedroom now. Okay, so anyway, just thought I'd show you where I am because I keep moving around in my house. Okay, Page of Wands. Here we go. Renewed strength. Only on this card is the central figure totally enveloped in his own aura from head to foot. This has a double meaning. The Page of Wands is totally immersed in his own concerns. He surrenders to his flame and his passion unconditionally and is always full of enthusiasm. At the same time, the card counsels us to be aware of the limitations of our perceptions because we are absorbed in our own world. The snake-like or butterfly-like drawings around the central figure alert us to our much greater potential. Our zest for action and desire to develop urge us on to reach beyond our own boundaries now. In relation to our motivational forces, wands, fire, energy, the scope of our actual experience is relatively small. This is a danger, but also an opportunity. Beware of naive inactivity as well as effusive zeal. We once entered this life full of the will to survive, to grow, and to express ourselves. We can harness this zeal now to explore the world thoroughly, greeting each success or failure as a new experience. If we welcome ordeals of fire and recognize them as a form of inner purification, we will find ourselves enriched by these lessons. Our ability always to go beyond ourselves gives us renewed strength and replenishes our youthful vitality. Practical advice: learn to understand energies that are larger than you. Beware of narrow-mindedness. Hold on to that which makes your heart sing and your spirit soar. Okay, this card feels so good for Sagittarius season, not just because it's a fire card. So Wands is associated with the fire element, and Sagittarius is a fire season, but it has a lot of very similar Sagittarius themes. In particular, Sagittarius is very fun. There's this element of kind of flirtation, life of the party, not getting bogged down. Part of that mutable fire quality is not getting stuck in things. So Sagittarius tends to kind of move on and go to something new and bring that kind of light energy kind of to the next spot without staying long enough for it to kind of sour. So there's a lot of enthusiasm in Sagittarius season, which is really nice after the heaviness of Scorpio season, to just inject some fun again, to think, okay, it's not all doom and gloom, it's not all healing and trauma, it's not all like intense feeling, it can be fun and light. So this page, he says he surrenders to his flame and his passion and is always full of enthusiasm. So there isn't this feeling of guilt of like, sometimes, you know, especially if things have been really rough or things are still really rough for somebody else, if you're doing really good, you kind of feel like, oh, like I don't want to make other people feel bad. I kind of have to pretend I don't feel so good, or, you know, I don't think anybody really wants to hear about my passion right now because they all seem really like kind of down and gloomy. And so there can be this feeling of kind of trying to compress the light. But this card, this page, he's like, no, I'm totally surrounded by the aura of my own passion and excitement, and I'm going to keep going. So that can be really, really excellent. And actually, it can be really, really helpful for other people to see that bright light and that bright beacon of somebody in their enthusiasm and their passion, to know that it's possible if they are struggling and they have some disbelief that they can ever feel good. Also, to kind of show them the way. Some people, they just need a little assistance in the step. They've got ideas, but they're not really sure how to get there. So having an example of somebody who's really exciting and really enthusiastic can really help them kind of model themselves after that. And also, it can just, you know, sometimes what people need is permission that their problems can matter because other people don't need their help. So we can kind of sometimes want to commiserate by getting down into the dumps and the dirt with other people who are also there. But then we can sometimes feel like, oh, well, now they have to take care of you. And so you just feeling this energy and this enthusiasm kind of also allows people in your community to say, oh, you're good. Like, I can focus on my issues because you're actually fine. And you can kind of be taking care of yourself. So there's multiple ways that can actually be a really excellent thing. But as we say, at the same time, the card does counsel us to be aware of the limitations of our perceptions because we're absorbed in our own world. So that can go the other way, where we're like, la 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 la, I'm so excited with my enthusiasm that my world is so bright and exciting. Everybody must feel this way. And other people are like, nope, that's just you, man. Like, actually, there's still some really rough things here. This can have this quality, what we want to avoid, of the idea of spiritual bypassing, where because things are so bright and exciting here, feeling like the things that are hard don't actually exist as well. So it's always a balance of one or the other, where, you know, we're not trying to pick one is better than the other. It's trying to navigate the way between having something that's vibrant and enthusiastic and not trying to squelch it down because of how others might be feeling, but also still having empathy and compassion and understanding for the plights of others. That doesn't have to dim your shine, but that you don't have to blast out with your enthusiasm and burn other people. Like, there's a bit of a balance, and it can be a skill to have to navigate. So this is, but anyway, this card for the most part is quite enthusiastic. But this is also a reminder. This card is interesting because the page as a card is very much the youth, the student. A lot of enthusiasm, not a lot of experience yet. So there's this feeling of like lots of energy, lots of passion, but it's still very raw. It's very fresh passion, very fresh enthusiasm, and it doesn't yet have mastery and experience behind that enthusiasm. But Sagittarius has a quality of mastery to it because Sagittarius has this great quest for truth, and also has the element of being the teacher, the philosopher, because they've amassed so much knowledge and experience in their quest for truth, is they can then turn around and teach and educate. So it seems like a bit of a contradiction here that this page, the student of wands, is super fresh and naive and doesn't yet have a lot of experience, but Sagittarius actually brings in this wealth of wisdom, and how that's kind of wrapping up kind of brings a quality of it to the Fool card, actually, where the Fool is both the very beginning of the journey, knows nothing, and the very end of the journey when you've achieved the most life experience and mastery possible, and you then come to the place of understanding. Because you have such a grand perspective, you realize where you are in the grandness of the cosmos, and realize that actually the more you know, the less you know. So this page of wands is actually sort of feeling like the humility that comes with reaching a higher level of knowledge and understanding, where you then suddenly realize, oh wow, like, you know, it's the whole idea of like somebody in their undergrad feels super confident in everything they know, and someone in their doctorate is like, I don't know anything, like I know how complex the world really is. So there's this feeling of bringing back that youthful quality to something that is close to mastery already, and then being able to combine those both into a real strength. So you're not totally new and having all of these pitfalls, but you also aren't solidifying into dogma, believing that because you know a lot, that you know everything. That's definitely one of the downsides to Sagittarius, is if Sagittarius doesn't keep that humility and doesn't keep that quest for truth and understanding that the quest for truth it's likely doesn't ever have an end. And if you think you found the end and you finally know it all, then you start to calcify into dogma. You stop actually learning anything anymore because you believe you know it all. And then you can start to be trying to force and compress other people into your worldview because you think you've made it. So the paradox of Sagittarius is the quest for truth is never ending. And then what it is we can discover along the way can keep us in this vibrant page energy of there's always something new, there's always something exciting. So that, as I said, we can harness this zeal to explore the world thoroughly. With another line here, greeting each success or failure as a new experience. This is a really great subtle energy to have in Sagittarius season, to bring into Capricorn season as we roll over soon. Because Sagittarius, as the explorer, is interested in experience. It's learning through experience, not just learning through kind of book learning. In which case, a success or a failure is all in education. So trying, and that's such a major, difficult perspective shift to have, is certainly in a very meritocracy, like product-based capitalist society, which is only success, only upward trajectory, only increased profits for shareholders, only bidding more and more and more counts as success. Even just breaking even counts as a failure. If it's not growing, it's a failure. And so we can have all of this pressure that failure is unacceptable, staying the same and balancing out is a failure, and only success is like, okay, bare minimum kind of thing. And so if we can shift that perspective to say, if their goal is experience and learning through experience, success or failure is all an education no matter what. And that energy, when we get into Capricorn season, which is very goal-oriented, wanting to grow, wanting to produce, Capricorn can get really hard on themselves if they feel like there's some failure, if they feel that they're not getting to their goal. So if we can really like land in and practice the feeling of, well, even if I messed up, or, ooh, that didn't feel so good, but what did I learn in that experience of making a mistake? What did I learn in that experience of being incorrect? Well, at least I learned something. And in fact, this is what mastery is having experienced enough mistakes to be at a higher level now, whereas the page, the new beginner, they haven't had any successes or failures, and that's why they don't know anything yet. So then if you have that kind of landed in perspective in Capricorn time, then you can just take those failures as, okay, it's another building block to my success, rather than feeling like a failure is taking away your positive effort. It's actually just a different kind of success, whether because now you've just learned a little bit what not to do, or you can put in a fail safe, or you can be compassionate for others, whatever it is, that can still be part of your mountain towards success that Capricorn will be excited about. So, but that's Capricorn season. We're in Sagittarius season still. Yeah, so anything else in this particular card? Yeah, I think that's actually, I'll probably just leave it with that. So yeah, this injection of Sagittarius fiery enthusiasm is really exciting, especially because we do still have those kind of big further out planets in Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. So and so this season's actually interesting, this Sagittarius this year, because we're actually quite balanced with, we've got a few signs in water signs, a couple earth signs, a few things in fire signs, but we're very lacking in air this season. In fact, the only planet I think that is in an air sign is is Mars in Gemini, and Mars is even in retrograde in Gemini. So one thing that we may notice in the Sagittarius season is that our mental capacities, our thinking, our communicating seems to be taking a background step. It's not necessarily going to be really to the forefront. We might feel like, oh, I'm usually better at communicating, or I usually, I've usually worked through my rational mind a lot more, but I'm kind of leaning more into that fire energy of just intuition, or that gut inspiration, or maybe, yeah, I'm into this earth energy of just kind of getting her done. And again, we do live in a culture that very much glorifies the rational cognitive mind as the highest part of humanity, and why humans are different from animals. And it kind of, our mind is often seen as a symbol of the supremacy of the human race. And so if you are finding in culture that you're like, I feel like I'm supposed to be more mental, I'm supposed to be more rational, but I'm feeling a lot more emotional, I'm feeling a lot more intuitive, or a lot more wanting to listen to my body and not my mind, that's perfectly acceptable. That's just, we have these ebbs and flows in these seasons. And so if we live in a culture that wants to be a box, the same thing, the same energy, the same productivity every day, we're never going to line up like that, because we have these natural ebbs and flows and cycles. So just be aware, since Mars in Gemini is also in retrograde, that our mental and our verbal and our cognitive rational capacities are not necessarily the thing we want to lean on the heaviest right now, because we've got so much other energy coming up. So just take that as you will, and be, again, patient with yourself and others around you, especially because of that. So I think that that's pretty much it then. I'm just going to take a minute as well, again, to recognize that I and many of us who take these workshops are settlers on Indigenous land. Much of it is unceded, certainly for me here in Canada, and those of us in Canada, much of the land that we live on is unceded. And so it's just acknowledging that all the wealth of what I experience is often because of those who were disenfranchised in their own homeland. So just always keeping it in mind to take tangible steps as best you can to educate yourself, and to be in an assistance in that kind of global awakening consciousness into being accountable to the things that our ancestors and how we have built our civilization on the backs of others. So that's just the acknowledgement here. I think the only other thing is I just want to show off my cute little tapestry. I really like it, and I've had it for a long time, but just thought to put it up today. So thank you. That was the Sagittarius season forecast. As a reminder, this is a pay what you can donation-based workshop. I really appreciate all donations. They really help me to continue this work and facilitate me being able to bring more of these astrological insights to you to help you on your adventure in your life. So thank you very much. The link is in the description below, as well as however do I send this? Either on Facebook or email. Clearly, I'm really great with tech stuff. So thank you so much for supporting me, and best of luck to you all in Sagittarius season.